Good morning, friends. June 2nd, 2025, and I was listening to a clip that came from Global News out of Canada, out in Nova Scotia, regarding Jack and Lilly Sullivan. Two new updates. Apparently, the children were seen with relatives a day before they were reported missing. Now, if that's true, it kind of debunks the theories that were going and the questions surrounding when the last time those children were seen. Secondly, what stands out to me the most is the stepfather, who is making mentions and talking in the media, has one, not talked to Malaya, I believe her name is, since May 3rd. Now, what is up with that? You guys have not had any contact since May 3rd? This Malaya is really suspicious, in my opinion. Now, I hate to taint your minds already, but in my mind, that makes zero sense. But I'm always open to the idea that there's something that we don't see, and there's lots that we don't see here. However, it doesn't look very good when the stepfather, this young man, gets in front of the camera, in front of Global News, and he is making remarks that make it look like he is suspicious of Malaya. Like, listen, pal. Listen. You two were responsible for those kids, and now you're wanting to have a bickering contest in front of the media? So we're going to have a look at this clip. It's very, very suspect to me, because you would think that, well, how does one person know what happened that particular day when they were both together, and all of a sudden he isn't getting in front of the camera and saying things that make it look like, I don't know what his true intention was, but you're insinuating that Malaya probably has something to do with it when you do that. And he's stating that, well, at least I'm, at least I'm making comments in front of the media, as opposed to Malaya, she's maintained radio silence, which that makes no sense, other than the brief interview way back in the beginning of May. I believe that was on the 3rd. Right after she made that public interview, she left the residence. Now, why she left that residence, I don't know. Apparently, allegedly, there were people that particular day at that search who were showing up, putting blame on Malaya and the father in that regards, and the cops had to remove them from the property. So let's have a look at this particular clip. By the way, the stepfather, Jason is his name. I'm saying the stepfather because I can't recall his name. But the stepfather has said that he has taken a polygraph examination. Not that that is an easy button whether or not he's guilty or not, but it demonstrates the fact that he's not afraid to go in front of the cops and speak in front of the media, as you think you would be if you were genuinely concerned about the welfare of Jack and Lilly at this time. So it really makes me wonder. Let's have a look.
Trust the RCMP word, and I mean, you don't have to trust my word, but I'm the only one doing media for Jack and Lilly, trying to keep the story alive and get them found.
According to RCMP, any future searches will be determined based on the course of the investigation. They say they've covered a 5.5 kilometer search area and received 355 tips so far in the search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Ella MacDonald, Global News, Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia.
Oh, hold on. So just to let you know, this comes from Global News. The title is Missing Nova Scotia Kids Spotted the Day Before the Disappearance, and the stepfather says he's taken polygraph. Now, it's a 2-minute clip.
week ago, the road behind me was still swarming with search and rescue personnel as RCMP resumed their ground search for 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan, who first went missing 3 weeks ago in Lansdowne Station. Now, this has been a story that has dominated headlines across the country and beyond as people speculate and wonder about what could have happened to these two missing children. Now, just because the road is deserted doesn't mean RCMP are finished with their investigation. In fact, they just put out a statement Wednesday calling on the public for more footage.
Investigators are now asking anyone who has dash cam footage or video along Gairloch Road between noon on April 28th and noon on May 2nd to contact Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit.
They add RCMP are committed to exploring all possibilities in the case and have formally interviewed more than 50 people, with more interviews planned in the coming days. The children's stepfather, Daniel Martel, says he has been interviewed extensively since Lilly and Jack were first reported missing. You mentioned last time we chatted that you'd offered to do a polygraph test.
That is correct.
Has that already happened?
That has happened.
Right. And did you get results from that yet?
I do have results, and I don't know if I can share those results, but they were good in my favor, we'll say that.
Martel says he is...
Now, remember, no matter what, the cops use that as a tool. They'll tell you whatever, especially if they don't have enough evidence to hang over your head. They'll tell you, oh yeah, everything's good. Until much later when you get down the line and they come out and they say, oh, well, here's what the polygraph said. And they don't necessarily have to tell you the truth, Daniel. I apologize for calling him Jason earlier, Daniel Martel. But there's a lot to be said with this individual getting in front of the camera and, opening up in that sense. I'm not saying that he's in the free, but it's a lot better than what Malaya is doing, in my opinion. Like, you can't hold it against her, although it's probably a little test from law enforcement. They say not to speak to the media. And that, in my opinion, is wrong. And Malaya should be, in front of that camera, talking to the children, as opposed to anything else. And I would think that the investigators are coming in with the questioning fairly hot with her.
He is glad the police have put out the additional call for footage and is again asking anyone with information to come forward. Despite not having had contact with the children's mother, Malaya, since May 3rd when she left the search area, he says an RCMP liaison has been assigned to keep them both informed as the investigation progresses.
Trust the RCMP word, and I mean, you don't have to trust my word, but I'm the only one doing media for Jack and Lilly, trying to keep the story alive and get them found.
According to RCMP, any future searches will be determined based on the course of the investigation. They say they've covered a 5.5-kilometer search area and received 355 tips so far in the search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Ella MacDonald, Global News, Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia.
I mean, it's so bizarre. One, not to think that Jack and Lilly got into some type of trouble if they weren't abducted in that sense or lured away. But now that we know that they were last seen on May 1st with other family members, how many more family members would they have known? Would they have perhaps went out to speak to? Because it's always a possibility that somebody that Jack and Lilly knew that were used to going out potentially stopped by and picked them up. I guess that's another alternative, but it's suspicious to me that Malaya is relying on a story that's more leaning to the side of fantasy rather than being accountable to what was actually going on at the time. Now, Daniel has been so outspoken in front of the camera. The RCMP must be asking them not to speak directly to anything about the case in that sense. Let me know what it is you guys think at this point in time. Feel free to speculate away in the comment section of this video. Good day.